Part 131. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1301. Why don't you leave? Seeing the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect leaving one after another, with only Xiao Xian standing there, the old man in the valley also smiled and asked, "You have received my inheritance, and your future achievements will be at least the Dragon God realm. Do you have any other requirements?" "What? There is none left. I am extremely lucky to be able to obtain the inheritance of the Saint of the Valley. I dare not ask for anything else," Xiao Xian said seriously. "Then if you stay, what else do you think?" the old man in the valley asked next. "I think I might still be able to help you," Saint Xiao Xian said word by word. "What? Can you help, master? Why are you so confident?" "Xiao Xian, are you a little overconfident? Those of us in the Dragon God realm couldn't help master back then. With you, what are you capable of?" After Xiao Xian said a word. Although the old man in the valley was very calm, the disciples next to him were a little disdainful. General Ao Qing of the Great Halberd serves as the great disciple of the old man of the valley. Although his attitude towards Xiao Xian had changed a bit before, but now, he still felt that Xiao Xian was a bit arrogant compared to other disciples. Ao Qing did know the thoughts of some old people in the valley. This time, the reason why the old man of the valley and even their disciples died in the flame cemetery was because of the most powerful flame, the fire of Lei Yan. After the old man in the valley used various means, they still failed sadly, and were finally backfired by the huge power of Lei Yan's holy fire. Even now, each of them has physically perished, leaving only a residual soul. Under such circumstances, it seemed that they were in dire straits. One can only rely on the properties of the flame cemetery itself, that is, the nirvana properties of the Lei Yan holy fire, to get the chance of resurrection. Now, they are waiting for this opportunity. Helplessly, after the speculation of the old man in the valley, only if someone can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire and obtain the internal power of Lei Yan's holy fire, maybe they will have a chance to be resurrected. When the old man in the valley said this, these disciples are more and more disappointed in their hearts. After all, even the old man in the valley, who is in the saint realm, can't swallow Lei Yan's holy fire in the end. So who can be so capable? Swallowing Lei Yan's holy fire? Could it be that we can only place our hope in other saint realms, or even, people in a stronger realm? At this moment, almost all the disciples of the old man in the valley thought so. Therefore, almost all disciples are relatively pessimistic in their hearts. But who knew that Xiao Xian would directly ask the old man in the valley about his purpose now? So what if I ask? Is it possible that he can still swallow Lei Yan's holy fire? Such a thing, let alone Ao Qing and several other disciples, even the old man in the valley would not dare to imagine it. After all, that was Lei Yan's holy fire, which ranked 16th on the list of holy fires. Even the strong men in the saint realm would not dare to devour it casually. Xiao Xian now is only in the golden god realm. If it is said that he can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire, is this somewhat unbelievable? Do you know why master and we died in this place together? Ao Qing did not lose his temper directly, but said directly, "Did you know that master was once a sect leader in Zhongzhou? I predict that it should be the holy fire of Lei Yan," Xiao Xian said directly, not to mention the flame cemetery. Even in the entire outer area of Nanzan Haizhu, there is probably no one who can pose a threat to the saint of the valley. Good. So, now that you know this, how can you deal with it? Ao Qing nodded. Is it possible that you want to replace master and devour this Lei Yan holy fire? After he said this, the disciples at the scene also burst into smiles. From the bottom of their hearts, they naturally hope that someone closer to them can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire. Xiao Xian, as their little junior brother, is also a good choice. But they had to admit it. Xiao Xian's current strength is indeed limited. With his current strength, trying to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire is tantamount to wishful thinking. As for whether there will be such an opportunity in the future, no one can tell. But such a thing is definitely not something that ordinary people can predict. Do you have any confidence? In other words, do you have any plans? How long do you think it will take for you to become a saint? Ao Qing couldn't help but ask. Does it have to be a saint to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire? Xiao Xian shook his head. You. Isn't this a normal thing? Ao Qing laughed a little angrily. It seems that this is not written in the rules of heaven, right? Xiao Xian shook his head, so, I don't really take it to heart. This. Xiao Xian said this. For a moment, the disciples of the old man in the valley were stunned for a moment, looking at each other with a little surprise on their faces. From a certain perspective, there is no problem with what Xiao Xian said. After all, on the Dao continent, strength is respected. Let alone the Golden God realm, even if the spiritual God realm wants to devour the holy fire, no one will care. However, if there is not enough strength, trying to swallow the holy fire is tantamount to seeking death, and the power of the holy fire is definitely not something that one person can control. Having said that, but, with your power, if you want to swallow the holy fire, wouldn't you be asking for death? Ao Qing couldn't help but ask, this is also a waste of master's hard work on you. The latter sentence also made everyone present nod. For them, they are still very eager for the inheritance of the old man of the valley, so they are not willing to see the inheritance of the old man of the valley buried like this. They were willing to admit Xiao Xian's talent. However, as the saying goes, the higher the talent, the more danger. Although Xiao Xian has good talents, he will also face more dangers. Now, he is only in the Golden God realm. With such a realm, swallowing the holy fire is simply a fantasy. Xiao Xian, are you confident in swallowing Lei Yan's holy fire? The old man in the valley said directly. Yes, Xiao Xian replied directly. That's enough over there. For Lei Yan's holy fire, strength may not be the most important thing, but confidence must be the most important thing, the old man in the valley said. This, Master, are you telling the truth? No way. Master, didn't you say that Lei Yan's holy fire is so powerful that we can't get close to it at will? Master, do you really believe that Xiao Xian can successfully swallow this holy fire? At this time, all the old valley disciples present were a little confused. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1302. Questions about a group of disciples. The old man in the valley looked calm and said directly, it is easy to swallow the external holy fire, but it is easy to swallow the inner holy fire. After saying such a slightly philosophical statement, everyone present was also stunned. Obviously, they did not expect that the old man in the valley would say such a thing. After all, based on the previous situation, the old people in the valley are relatively strict with others. Under normal circumstances, even if they say something good about some things, they rarely receive praise from the former in person. But since meeting Xiao Xian, they found that the old people in the valley seemed to have become more tolerant towards some things. In some cases, he even became friendly. This was something they had never even dared to think about before. Master, what you mean is, do you really think that Xiao Xian can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire? Ao Qing couldn't help but ask, isn't this a little too trusting of Xiao Xian? Otherwise, why do you think I would hand over my lifelong inheritance to him? The old man in the valley asked. Ah! This. Master, what do you mean? Maybe Xiao Xian can really save us in the future. Lei Yan's holy fire could be swallowed up by a cultivator of the Golden God realm? If those powerful Saint realm people hear this, I'm afraid they will go crazy. At this time, the disciples of Old Man Valley almost became excited. You must know that existence like Lei Yan's holy fire is an extremely important resource even in the entire Nanzan Haizu and even the entire Dao continent. Otherwise, it would not attract the attention of the old man in the valley, a strong man in the saint realm of this level. Now if I can really be swallowed by Xiaoxian. This is definitely something that shocked the entire Nanzan Haizu. Of course, I'm not saying that Xiaoxian's current strength can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire. At least, he needs to reach the Dragon God realm to have this opportunity, the old man in the valley said. Dragon God realm. However, Xiaoxian has just entered the Golden God realm. Isn't it a bit far away to break through to the Dragon God realm? Ao Qing couldn't help but ask. This is up to him. For him, it doesn't seem that difficult if he wants to go from the Golden God realm to the Dragon God realm. The old man of the valley asserted. When he said this, he naturally aroused the surprise of many disciples. After all, no matter how you say it, the Dragon God realm is not a low level above the great Dao continent. At least, even among some large sects, he can be regarded as the mainstay core elder. On the great Dao continent, there are even more cultivators who have been stuck in the Dragon God realm their entire lives, unable to go any further. But now, the old man in the valley is so confident in Xiaoxian. You just helped him break through to the Golden God realm, do you think he can break through to the Dragon God realm? Isn't this a little far off? Could it be that the old man in the valley planned to help him again? Isn't this a bit too much? Master, do you think, how long will it take for Xiaoxian to break through to the Dragon God realm? When will he be able to swallow this Lei Yan holy fire? A disciple couldn't help but ask. 3 months. If I remember correctly, this year's youth conference is just 3 months away. And if you can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire, it will be easy to enter Zhongzhou with your strength. The old man in the valley said with a smile. When these words were spoken, not only Ao Qing, but also all the disciples of the old man in the valley looked surprised. You know, for ordinary people, it will take decades at least to enter the Dragon God realm. Even some talented cultivation disciples. With the resources and techniques of the sect, it would take several years to go from the Golden God realm to the Dragon God realm. The most critical thing among them is the sect's resource help. And now Xiaoxian is just a casual cultivator. Although he has a good relationship with Tomb Spirit Sect, Tomb Spirit Sect may not devote all its resources to help him, so if he wants to improve his realm, he can only rely on himself. Under such circumstances, it is naturally not that simple for Xiaoxian to improve his realm. But what they didn't expect was. At this moment, the old man in the valley actually trusted Xiaoxian so much. This was something they couldn't figure out. Could it be that the old man in the valley trusted Xiaoxian so much just because of the talent he had shown before? Master, you mean to say that Xiaoxian can definitely go from the Golden God realm to the Dragon God realm in just 3 months? Isn't this a bit exaggerated? Ao Qing couldn't bear it either. Asked. No exaggeration at all. What you may not know is that for Xiaoxian, cultivation is not a step-by-step process, but a process of climbing a mountain. The old man in the valley would never stop talking if he didn't make any surprises. When these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked and couldn't believe it. After all, it is on the great Dao continent. For almost all cultivators, it is a long and accumulated process to practice the techniques. Only a small number of people, either relying on their bloodline, relying on their family's sacred weapons, or relying on external opportunities, can get the chance to soar into the sky. These are also called the proud ones. However, in the entire Dao continent, such people are very few. Now, from the words of the old man of the valley, these disciples also roughly understood the meaning. It turned out that in his heart, Xiaoxian turned out to be such a genius who could be trusted so easily. This is definitely not an opportunity that ordinary people can have. Thank you, Saint of the Valley, for your trust. Don't worry, I will definitely use the fastest time to devour Lei Yan's holy fire and rescue you all. Xiao Xian said seriously. At this moment, what he said naturally aroused everyone's doubts and surprise. Of course, this does not include the old man of the valley. I believe you. I hope to see you here in 3 months. The old man in the valley nodded with satisfaction. There shouldn't be any problem with this, right? Certainly. I will definitely bring Lei Yan's holy fire myself to save you all. Xiao Xian looked solemn and said, everyone, please wait another 3 months. In this case, if a strong man in the saint realm said it, these disciples of the old man in the valley would naturally be extremely excited. But now, Xiao Xian is just a person in the Golden God realm, and he is still a person who has just entered the Golden God realm. Why can he have such strong confidence? Is it because he received the inheritance from the old man of the valley not long ago? This reason is somewhat unbelievable. Okay, then we will trust you once. But at this moment, Ao Qing could only trust him, nodded, thought for a while and said, if you can really come here in 3 months, we are willing to give you another chance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1303. I heard what Ao Qing said. Xiao Xian was stunned. He was a little surprised by Ao Qing's statement. After all, since meeting Ao Qing, the latter had been a little distrustful of him. Even the short-term harmony now is only because of the presence of the old man from the valley. But now, he actually said that he would be given a chance. This somewhat made him unbelievable. Are you telling the truth? Xiao Xian asked curiously. However, if I can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire, wouldn't I have reached the Dragon God realm? What other opportunities are needed? Don't worry about it. As long as you can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire, if you can come here, we will naturally give you something you are interested in. Ao Qing said mysteriously. After hearing this, Xiao Xian also looked at the other disciples with curiosity, and found that the other disciples also looked determined. This also aroused his competitive spirit. You know, since embarking on the path of cultivation, whatever Xiao Xian hopes to get, he will definitely get it. Now, Ao Qing said this opportunity in such a tone, but it was enough to prove that this opportunity was different. This also aroused Xiao Xian's interest. He really wanted to see what kind of opportunity it was. Even the old man in the valley couldn't give it to him. Do you still need Ao Qing and others to sell it? For a while. Xiao Xian also has a lot more ideas. He knew that there were so many magical experiences and opportunities on the Great Dao continent that even a saint like Old Man Valley would not be able to experience them all. If Ao Qing can say this, it is enough to prove that he does have something great. More importantly, after hearing Ao Qing's words, the old man in the valley also looked surprised. Obviously he did not expect him to say that. It seems that even the old man in the valley did not expect Ao Qing to make such a choice. This made Xiao Xian even more curious. After all, it seems that the old man in the valley approves of Ao Qing's behavior. This proves that the opportunity mentioned by Ao Qing is indeed very important. This fact really made Xiao Xian a little curious. In this case, he really has to work hard to devour this Lei Yan holy fire. In this case, I will resign. Having said this, Xiao Xian stopped talking nonsense, bowed his hands to the old man in the valley and others, and then turned and left. While walking, Xiao Xian also took the initiative to communicate with the system. In fact, the reason why he is so confident is because of the existence of the system. He fully believed that with the help of the system, he would be able to devour Lei Yan's holy fire as soon as possible. Raise the 9 heavens flame technique to the 3rd or even 4th level. By that time, perhaps, his realm will have reached the dragon god realm, so that he will not be so far away from Zhongzhou, or even from the origin of Dao continent. Perhaps, this is also the only way for him to truly obtain the origin of the Great Avenue. I dare to ask the system brother, how should I get this legendary Lei Yan's holy fire? Xiao Xian got straight to the point and asked the system directly. Do you really want to devour the holy fire? The system seemed a little shocked by Xiao Xian's idea, and asked, do you know that although this Lei Yan holy fire is ranked in the top 10 flames on the holy fire list, the power within it is definitely beyond the reach of ordinary people? Of course I know, otherwise, the old man in the valley in the saint realm would not have fallen, Xiao Xian said calmly. Even if you are the creation spirit and have a natural affinity for all things in the world, if you don't have enough power and just get close to this holy fire, you will be burned into nothingness, the system continued to remind. But there's no chance at all, right? Xiao Xian asked sharply. If he can upgrade the 9 heavens flame technique to the 3rd or even 4th level in a short period of time, then for him, his strength will definitely improve very quickly, and it is even possible for him to become the dragon god realm. However, this is a rare opportunity for Xiao Xian. The system seemed to ponder for a moment. You know, in the words of the old man in the valley, this holy fire is definitely a terrifying power. For Xiao Xian, it is not a strange thing. The system was a little surprised and said directly and seriously, do you know that the power of this legendary holy fire is not something that ordinary people can bear? Even a true saint realm powerhouse cannot bear it casually. Although the flame cemetery is a place where fish and dragons are mixed, there are also various spiritual treasures. If you search patiently, you may also have news about this object. In this case, under systematic questioning, Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus and Longma Baobing. At this moment, the most powerful flame power he could see was the Lei Yan holy fire. Say this. Where should we find these two things? This is indeed, all things, but there is never an absolute moment. Xiao Xian couldn't help but ask, I wonder if I can find it in the flame cemetery. I dare to ask the system brother, what is this? Xiao Xian asked. Under the realm of the golden god, the desire for Lei Yan's holy fire is simply unimaginable. This is somewhat possible. Xiao Xian was not afraid, but shook his head and smiled, brother system, don't worry, the power I hope for will definitely not be that simple. Since the holy fire appears, how can there be any reason not to devour it? But now, if Xiao Xian wants to devour it, he will naturally have to pay a high price. Are you really going to try to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire? At this moment, Xiao Xian also had a solemn expression on his face. Maybe for ordinary practitioners. Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus and Longma Baobing, with these two things, you can temporarily seal more than 80% of the power of Lei Yan holy fire. Even if you are only in the golden god realm, you still have a chance to get Lei Yan holy fire, the system said. Doesn't this mean that there is almost 80% certainty that he can swallow Lei Yan's holy fire? The system can actually increase the success rate by 70%. After hearing this, Xiao Xian became interested. For him, the fastest way to improve his strength may be to advance to the 9 heavens flame Ju. However, he finally said, however, if you want to swallow the holy fire, it is not impossible. If you have these two things, you can at least increase the success rate by 70%. But here's the thing. If he didn't have enough powerful flame power, it would be no more than wishful thinking if he wanted to improve the 9 heavens flame technique. Who knows now? After all, according to what the old man in the valley said before, the holy fire is definitely not something that ordinary people can swallow. Even he who is in the saint realm cannot swallow it by force. This price may very well be his own life. The system also nodded and said, are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1304. Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus and Longma Baobing. You need these two things. Outside the tomb of the old man in the valley, Tum Ching also frowned after hearing these two things from Xiaoxian. I have been in the flame cemetery for so many years and I have never heard of these two things. However, my master is well informed. Maybe he can hear about it? That's great. These two things are crucial to my future cultivation, so please trouble brother Tum Ching. Xiaoxian also said with gratitude. After hearing this, Tum Ching smiled and said directly, Master Xiaoxian is too polite. Speaking of which, if it weren't for you, Master, so many disciples of our tomb spirit sect would probably die in the tomb. Compared with my own life, what does this matter mean? But, Master, what do you want these things for? These are all ice and water attribute treasures. I remember that you are not practicing these avenues. Bai Ling looked puzzled. The secret must not be leaked. Xiaoxian smiled. Huh, stingy. Bai Ling also pouted angrily and turned his head away on purpose. Hee, little girl, it's useless to tell you. How is your recent practice of flame skills? Xiaoxian shook his head. He knew that if Tum Ching and Bai Ling knew that his purpose was to seize the holy fire, it would only I was afraid that the two of them would be surprised and speechless. The way of fire. Yes, Master, the last method I saw you use to defeat Qin Feng and Chen Meng was also fire. How did you do it? After being mentioned by Xiaoxian, Bai Ling also had a look of curiosity on his face. In fact, she had never seen Xiaoxian practice the path of fire for such a long time. However, it can actually be used in battles with others. This kind of thing is also a bit difficult for her to understand. It's also the help of the old men of the valley. In the inheritance, there is a skill about flames. It was only after I understood these fire skills that I gained an understanding of flames. Xiaoxian said truthfully. After he said this, it aroused some people's attention and doubts. Even Tum Ching and Bai Ling were a little puzzled. Before they came to the tomb of Old Man of the Valley, they naturally had some basic understanding of the Old Man of the Valley. Tum Ching knew that what Old Man of the Valley practiced was the way of the earth, and he relied on this way to enter the realm of saints. Who knew that the Old Man in the Valley still had an understanding of the way of fire? Isn't this a bit strange? Brother Xiaoxian, are you saying that the flame understanding in you was given by the Old Man of the Valley? This is a bit strange. According to the previous principles, what he practiced was the way of the earth in the valley. How could he have knowledge of flames? Understand? Tum Green was a bit surprised. So Xiaoxian is naturally safe now. The final achievement is to reach the Dragon God realm. Under such circumstances, is it possible that the old man in the valley is also a person of dual cultivation? At this time, Xiaoxian was also stunned. What happens in the tomb, if nothing else, will basically be spread out. If the inheritance of a strong saint appears, let alone the flame cemetery, the entire Nanzan Haizu will be boiling. However, even if they are not interested in Xiaoxian now, they will still look for some opportunities in the future. Tum Ching and a group of Tum Spirit sect disciples were also extremely cautious and looked around vigilantly, for fear that someone might have any thoughts about Xiaoxian. So, the Saint of the Valley is also a dual cultivation saint realm expert? It's unbelievable. Xiaoxian couldn't help but sigh. You can still achieve such an achievement by practicing the way of earth and the way of fire at the same time, enough to show that the old man of the valley is indeed extraordinary. What Tom Ching said makes sense. On the way out of the tomb, Xiaoxian also understood at this time. But who knew that a strong man in the saint realm would come now? This really shocked everyone. Not to mention. But at this moment, his thoughts were a bit redundant. The youth conference in 3 months' time will definitely be lively. Generally, practitioners who want to practice dual cultivation are all extremely talented people with amazing talents. Yes, for practitioners like us, even if it is so difficult to practice one of them, who knew that the old man in the valley could practice two at the same time. Tum Ching also nodded and said, "If you speculate like this, it also proves that the old man in the valley is really extraordinary. He wants to swallow the holy fire. Maybe he has really cultivated the avenue of flames." After all, even when they were in the tomb, there were only a few people who had thoughts about Xiaoxian. Now those few people have died in vain, and they have basically been beaten to death. At that time, when he obtained the Nine Heavens flame technique, the old man in the valley said that he had reached the 5th level of cultivation. Why did Tum Ching now say that he did not practice the flame technique? How is this going? However, in a place like the Flame Cemetery, such things are indeed normal. Let alone snatching inheritance, even killing people and stealing goods is also a normal thing. If you are a dual cultivator in the spiritual god realm or even the golden god realm, this is somewhat understandable, but the old man in the valley is a strong man in the saint realm. If his Deo realm relies on dual cultivators, then what is his strength? How strong? Now it seems that things are clear. This is really unimaginable. Bai Ling was also a little surprised and said seriously, but judging from what happened to the old man in the valley before, it seems, he didn't use any fire power. What's going on? This is somewhat unbelievable. But generally such practitioners, according to normal thinking, a person will usually hide his or her strongest skill. If the old man in the valley does not use fire skills, it may prove that his flame power is the strongest skill, Tum Ching said seriously. At that time, when he learned that the death of Old Man Valley was due to Lei Yan's holy fire, his first reaction was still a little confused. He didn't know why Old Man Valley, as a practitioner of the way of the earth, came into contact with Lei Yan's holy fire. Although such a thing sounds shameless. After all, the inheritance of a strong saint is indeed very tempting. Even if they are not Xiaoxian's opponents for the time being, wouldn't they look for help from the sect and the help of casual cultivators? More importantly, the person who received this inheritance turned out to be a young man in the Golden God realm. If nothing else, it's based on previous experience. The old man in the valley turned out to be a dual cultivator, which really surprised him. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1305. After passing through the bizarre portal, Xiaoxian and others also walked out of the tomb and came to the ground of the flame cemetery. Set foot again on the scorching flame graveyard. They also had a dream-like feeling. They had been staying in the cold and dark tomb for such a long time. Although, as a strong man in the Golden God realm, with the power of the Deo in their bodies, they were able to resist the cold air from the outside world, but they still felt a little uncomfortable. Now, having arrived at the scorching flame cemetery, they felt a sense of relief. But they found out the location they were in now was not the location before entering the tomb, but in a mountain col on the periphery of the tomb. This was also something that surprised Xiaoxian. He originally thought that with the strength of the old man in the valley, he should be able to teleport them back the way they came, but who knew that they were just teleported immediately. This also made him a little confused. But then, he also figured out that maybe this was one of the ways the old man in the valley used to protect him. After all, if it is teleported in place, Xiaoxian and the others will most likely encounter hostile sects in the flame cemetery. If they are besieged by many people, even if he has the support of the tomb spirit sect behind him, it will be difficult to get any benefits. This is very important. Brother Tum Ching, where are Mr. Chen and Master Tum Ling? Are we going to look for them directly? Bai Ling also took the initiative to ask Tum Ching, our performance in the tomb will probably cause a lot of trouble in the end. Now we'd better return to the sect quickly. To this, Tum Ching also nodded. He also understood that those who Xiao Xian offended in the tomb may not be able to resist in the tomb. But it's different when you come to the Flame Cemetery. Here, there are many sects, powerful people, and countless casual cultivators and retreat ants who hide their strength. Fight against such a person. Xiao Xian and the others were somewhat stressed. However, if you can return to Tomb Spirit Sect earlier, then the situation will be different. Anyway, Tomb Spirit Sect is also considered the strongest sect in the Flame Cemetery. With the sect protection formation, those with ill intentions may not be able to break through the sect's defense at will. Well, but you may know that Mr. Chen may be leaving. He is the elder of Tianli section. Tum Ching also said slightly helplessly. After saying such words, Xiao Xian and Bai Ling couldn't help but feel a little sad. I really want to talk about it. For such a long time, they had received a lot of help from Mr. Chen. Now that Mr. Chen suddenly left, they felt a little disappointed. Is Tianli sect so unreasonable today? Xiao Xian couldn't help but look a little gloomy. For such a long time, he can also feel that whether it is a strong dragon god realm like Mr. Chen Lao Tum Ling or an ordinary golden god realm like Tum Ching Bai Ling, they all have a certain attitude toward Tianli sect and even Zhongzhou. Fear. This really made him a little uncomfortable. After all, if you really want to talk about it, the dragon god realm in Zhongzhou is the dragon god realm. Could it be that the dragon god realm in the outer areas is not the dragon god realm? Are the practitioners in Zhongzhou superior to those in other areas? This made Xiao Xian a little angry inside. Xiao Xian, don't be impulsive. This matter involves a lot of things. Mr. Chen and Master Tomb Spirit didn't say much, so you'd better not come forward. Tomb Green also reminded. He knew that Xiao Xian hated evil and had such a good relationship with Mr. Chen. He would probably be angry if he knew that Mr. Chen would be forced to go to Tianli sect. However, even if Xiao Xian could kill a disciple like Ying Guang before. I know that. Xiao Xian gave them too much shock. Judging from the previous situation, as long as he wants to do something, he can basically succeed in the end. However, it allowed Tum Ching and Bai Ling to hear clearly. Even the Tomb Spirit Master knows this very clearly. He was confident enough to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire, and by that time, his 9 heavens flame technique would be upgraded to the 4th or even 5th level at least. I'm afraid that even the sect leader of Tianli sect will have great respect for him. Naturally, his mind and mentality will not change because of this little thing. He might even become a Saint Realm Master directly. In response, Xiao Xian also nodded. But now, he is more concerned about Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus and Longma Baobing. But now. Otherwise, with his status as the first sect leader of the Flame Cemetery, he would naturally not watch his friends being kidnapped by the Tianli sect. Even if he faces the old man of the valley in the Saint Realm alone. Then in the end, maybe he will actually succeed. With the powerful power of 9 heavens flame Ju. If they were asked to face the elder protector of Tianli sect, he would still have no ability to resist. In fact, for Xiao Xian, even if Mr. Chen and Tum Ching didn't say these things, he would not really do anything reckless and impulsive. After tens of thousands of years of practice, he had long developed the habit of being prepared to do anything when a mountain collapses. An unchanging mentality. I trust you. Tum Ching also nodded seriously and said, however, Brother Xiao Xian, you don't have to be too anxious. After all, Mr. Chen is also a strong man in the Dragon God realm. He was also an elder of Tianli section. Tianli sect should not do anything to him. Even a strong man in the Saint realm like the old man in the valley praised his talent and strength, which was enough to make him confident and proud. After having these two things. As for exploring the origin of Daodao continent, it is not impossible. At that time, it was easy to help old man Gu resurrect or help old Chen leave Tianli sect. He doesn't necessarily show cowardice, so how can he be afraid of the leader of the Tianli sect? Even if the leader of the Tianli sect is also a saint, he believes that sooner or later, he will be able to defeat the opponent. After all, it has always been. But now that the person who said this was Xiaoxian, they had to trust him more. At this moment, if someone else said this, they would probably not even listen to it. Xiaoxian nodded, with a gloomy look on his face. Now I am indeed not strong enough to go to Tianli sect, but I believe that sooner or later, I will make the master of Tianli sect bow before me. He said this in a low voice. It has been tens of thousands of years since Xiaoxian embarked on the path of cultivation. This is also something that makes Xiaoxian's heart beat. After all, if he really becomes a saint, what kind of youth conference will he attend? In fact, Mr. Chen also said the same thing to him, hoping that he would not be too impulsive and do something reckless. Since he can say these words. But, now we can only endure it for the time being. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1306. Outside the cemetery, Tomb Ching took out the summoning talisman of the Tomb Spirit sect. Soon they found a group of disciples from the Tomb Spirit sect. As they expected, Mr. Chen was no longer outside. Waiting outside was the angry-looking Tomb Spirit Master. It can be seen that Mr. Chen should have just left. But after seeing Xiaoxian Tomb Green walking out of the tomb Spirit Master took the initiative and nodded, his face softening slightly. Especially after seeing that the disciples did not lose much. The Tomb Spirit Master breathed a sigh of relief. He also knew that the tomb of the old man in the valley was extremely dangerous. Many sect disciples would eventually encounter a lot of dangers after entering. Before, there was even a precedent that entire sect disciples would fall into the tomb. This time, Tomb Spirit sect sent a group of elite disciples led by Tomb Ching. This is actually a big gamble for Tomb Spirit Master. If it succeeds and gets the sacred artifact, this will naturally be an opportunity for the Tomb Spirit sect to rise. But if it fails, Tomb Spirit sect will also suffer a lot of losses. And now, seeing that most of the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect have returned safe and sound, Master Tomb Spirit breathed a long sigh of relief. What made him even more secretly happy was, he saw that except for Tomb Spirit sect, other sects in Flame Cemetery had suffered a lot of losses. Except for True Fire Academy, some sects even only returned 1 or 2 disciples with missing arms and legs. Among them, Yamaluadian and Star Sword sect, which were least able to deal with Tomb Spirit sect, were the first to bear the brunt. This really made the Tomb Spirit Master secretly happy. After all, for a sect, in addition to relying on the strength of the top management for future development, what is more important is the cultivation of new blood. Now, the elite disciples of these sects are dead and wounded. I'm afraid that in the next few years or even more than 10 years, it may be in a state of decline and not be able to pose much of a threat to their Tomb Spirit sect. Meet the sect master. This trip to the tombs was fortunate enough. We gained a lot. We got a total of 3 tombs of the disciples of the Valley Old Man, and even got a pill personally given by the Valley Old Man. Tomb Ching also looked relaxed. Yes, there is also a pill. It turned out to be a pill given by the old man of the valley himself. This is a bit beyond my expectation. What kind of pill is it? Master Tomb Spirit couldn't help but be curious. I didn't expect it. The old man of the valley can still exist in the tomb. Is he still alive after tens of thousands of years? Master, you have misunderstood. Not 1 pill, but 1 pill for each person. Tomb Ching smiled instead. Speaking of which, this is all thanks to young Master Xiaoxian. If he hadn't received the inheritance from the old man in the valley, we wouldn't have had such an opportunity. This time, young Master Xiaoxian really made a big difference. Oh, what? The inheritance of the old man of the valley. At first, Master Tum Ling still had a smile on his face, but when he heard the second half of Tum Qing's words, he was instantly shocked. Old man of the valley? Or is it the inheritance of the old man in the valley? According to Tum Spirit Master's previous prediction for the old man of the valley, the latter's strength should be at least in the saint realm. Even if he is a disciple of the old man of the valley, he should be in the dragon god realm at least. And Xiaoxian, if he remembers correctly, this young man was just an ordinary little golden god before entering the tomb. Under such a state, he was able to be favored by the old man of the valley, and even received the latter's inheritance. This is definitely not something that can be explained by luck. At least, there must be something about Xiaoxian that old man valley took a fancy to. In fact, Xiaoxian was brought here by Mr. Chen after all. I didn't expect that an opportunity would come now. This is simply unimaginable to them. What's more, with Mr. Chen's relationship, Xiaoxian will probably have a lot of contact with the Tomb Spirit sect in the future, which is definitely a good thing for the future development of the Tomb Spirit sect. Hear this. Tum Qing said seriously. He didn't expect that Xiaoxian had such ability. Yes. For the Tomb Spirit Master, he naturally had to find a way to seize this, so he frowned and said, "Our Tomb Spirit sect only has one of these two things." Yes. That's right, Master. In fact, at this time, he was also thinking about how to gain Xiaoxian's friendship. All the elders also quickly agreed. Actually, if it hadn't been for young Master Xiaoxian's help this time, our Tomb Spirit sect's losses would have been much more serious. At least more than half of our people would not have been able to come back. This time, young Master Xiaoxian still needs to find two things, namely the Holy Snow Lotus of Tianshan Mountain and the Longma Baobing. I wonder if there are any in our Tomb Spirit sect's treasure house. As for the Holy Snow Lotus of Tianshan Mountain, there have been rumors about this in the Flame Cemetery recently. If Master Xiaoxian needs it, we can inquire and look for it on your behalf, the Tomb Spirit Master said to the elders around him. You guys go and find it. Go find it, if you have the chance, no matter how high the cost, help Mr. Xiaoxian find him. So, thank you so much, Mr. Xiaoxian. Master Tomb Spirit also looked grateful. That's important enough. Don't dare to take it seriously. When he said these words, he immediately attracted the attention of the Tomb Spirit Master. You know, in his original estimate, Xiaoxian was just a cultivator of the little golden god realm, and had no experience of entering the tomb before. This time he should just rely on their Tomb Spirit sect. This point also made all the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect nod in agreement with the instructions from the Tomb Spirit Master. The fact that I can enter this tomb and be lucky enough to receive the inheritance can be regarded as thanks to your help. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have such an opportunity. Seeing this, the face of the Tomb Spirit Master also had a look of shock, and he was even more surprised by Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian also looked serious. As for the things in the tomb, I just tried my best. Who knew that Xiaoxian would play an important role in the end? Yes, Master. Although he can enter the tomb, there are still some connections to it. Thank you so much. Xiaoxian also thanked him quickly. That is Longma Baobing. This thing was obtained by the previous sect master by chance. If Mr. Xiaoxian needs it, we can give it to him. But things are different now. Not only the Tomb Spirit Master, but also all the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect, their faces were a little more kind to Xiaoxian. With Xiaoxian's performance, some people from the Tomb Spirit sect have changed their minds about him. After all, Xiaoxian, a person in the little golden god realm, can receive the inheritance of the old man of the valley and has a good relationship with the Tomb Spirit section. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1307. Xiao Xian was moved when he heard the words of the Tomb Spirit Master. He knew that the Tomb Spirit sect was the most powerful sect in the Flame Cemetery. With their help, it shouldn't be difficult to find the news about the Tianshan Saint Snow Lotus. As for Longma Baobing, he really owed a favor to the Tomb Spirit sect and the Tomb Spirit Master. Ha ha ha. Don't speak the same language as one family. At that time, I was a little disdainful when Lao Chen was able to bring you here and pay so much attention to you. Now it seems that I am really short-sighted. Tomb Spirit Master said with a smile. After hearing such words, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed on his face, and then smiled kindly. In fact, Xiao Xian can naturally see the attitude of the Tomb Spirit Master towards him at first, but he can also understand it in his heart. After all, for a strong man in the Dragon God realm, it's a bit too much to make him have a lot of respect for cultivators in the Little Golden God realm. Even if it weren't for Mr. Chen's introduction, Xiao Xian is not even qualified to enter the Tomb Spirit sect. At least in the end, the Tomb Spirit Master was able to agree to Xiao Xian, Tomb Qing, and others entering the tomb, which was considered an explanation to Mr. Chen. And now, in front of Xiao Xian, Tomb Spirit Master still expressed his thoughts so frankly, which was quite recognized by Xiao Xian. After all, I really want to talk about it. Although Xiao Xian got some opportunities in the tomb of the old man in the valley, his realm was only the Golden God realm. In terms of strength, maybe one day he can break through to the Dragon God realm. But at least now, he is definitely not the opponent of the Tomb Spirit Master. If the latter is really greedy, I am afraid that Xiao Xian's inheritance from the old man in the valley will be really dangerous. Although there is something to do with Mr. Chen. However, in a place like the Flame Cemetery, profit always comes before profit, even if Xiao Xian is really harmed for the sake of profit. Maybe there's not much anyone can say. However, I still have a question for the Tomb Sect Master. Xiao Xian thought for a moment and asked proactively, Mr. Chen, what is his relationship with Tianli sect? Why does Tianli sect not hesitate to come from Zhongzhou? Do you want him to go back? This. Upon hearing Xiao Xian's question, Master Tomb Spirit seemed a little hesitant and did not answer directly. In fact, this question was not only curious about Xiao Xian, but Bai Ling next to him was also puzzled. When I was in White Flame Valley, Mr. Chen has been staying in the White Flame Tower, and it looks like he is practicing and healing, but anyone with a discerning eye can see that he is more like avoiding something. Even then I wanted to come to the Flame Cemetery. It was also Old Man Bai Yan who came forward in person and persuaded Old Man Chen to come forward and accompany them. If it weren't for the presence of Old Man Bai Yan, I'm afraid that Mr. Chen is still in the White Flame Tower, avoiding the pursuit from Zhongzhou. And now, let's really talk about it. The reason why Mr. Chen was taken away by the people of Tianlizong was really because he came to the Flame Cemetery. Maybe Xiao Xian was really responsible for this. After hearing this, the face of Master Tomb Spirit became obviously gloomy. In the end, he felt that although cultivation was important, the path at the end of cultivation was also important, but compared with a person's original intention, it was still slightly inferior. However, on the path of cultivation, this is indeed a normal thing. Although Mr. Chen is not a big optimist. Even if something is difficult to accept. I see. If a person practices cultivation to the end, he will no longer even have his original intention. Maybe he can't even be considered a real person. They have also followed Mr. Chen for a while and have some basic understanding of the latter. It was only later that he killed his lover because of an accidental incident, so he kept hiding from the world. Speaking of which, he was a bit cowardly. I also tried to persuade him many times, but he still insisted on going his own way. However, after thinking about it for a while, Xiao Xian could understand a little bit, if he wanted to kill his lover with his own hands. So why does Mr. Chen have this idea? The Tomb Spirit Master shook his head and sighed. I originally didn't want to say more about such things, but since you asked, I'll just say a few more words. Old Chen, in fact, this time I came to the Flame Cemetery with a hug. Those who are determined to die. Such a blow is really not something that ordinary people can bear. Xiao Xian also nodded to express understanding, and then asked, logically speaking, a sect like Tianli sect should not be short of masters, right? However, he didn't have the intention of dying before coming to the Flame Cemetery, right? What's more, even the Tianli sect, who had some thoughts about him, had no intention of killing him. Tomb Spirit Master gritted his teeth and said, on the surface, they asked old Chen to go back, but in fact, they wanted him to go back and accept punishment. Therefore, among some truly top experts, it is sometimes difficult to feel their humanity. Instead, they feel like cultivation machines with no desires or desires. However, on the path of cultivation, every cultivator will encounter various sufferings. Thinking of this, Xiao Xian really felt a little guilty. So, why does Tianli sect have to let Mr. Chen go back? Could it be that they can't find another elder of the law enforcement hall? This is also the hateful thing about Tianli section. This may be a bit colder, but practice will definitely be smooth sailing. Die. At that time, Lao Chen was also the elder of the law enforcement hall of the Tianli section. He was famous for his strict punishments and impartiality. He was very famous in the Tianli sect and even the entire Zhongzhou. Such a thing sounds callous. Speaking of which, if you can't even withstand such a blow, I'm afraid your cultivation in this life will come to an end. It's a long story. But in the end, Xiao Xian gave up the idea. Why die? Tianli sect has a rule. All disciples who enter Tianli sect can only stay in Tianli sect for the rest of their lives. They are not allowed to leave the sect, let alone join other sects, otherwise they will be severely punished by the section. Xiao Xian also considered this issue once, thinking that maybe the end of the road of cultivation is to give up the human part of oneself and get closer to divinity. Maybe, you also need to adjust your mentality and deal with it indifferently. At least this will not affect your cultivation heart and avoid affecting your own practice. Xiao Xian and Bai Ling couldn't help being surprised. This is more like divinity. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1308. This, will Mr. Chen's life be in danger? What punishment will he receive? Bai Ling looked worried and quickly asked Master Tomb Spirit. Regarding this, Master Tomb Spirit also gave a helpless smile. I can't say this. Tianli sect has many methods, and no one knows what methods they will use against Lao Chen. However, judging from the appearance of those people from Tianli sect, they probably won't kill them directly. That will definitely lead to a lot of suffering. Xiao Xian gritted his teeth. He understood that if Mr. Chen had not followed him to the Flame Cemetery, he might still be in the White Flame Tower in the White Flame Valley. Although practicing in that place all day is very boring. However, it is much better than going to Tianli sect to suffer, which makes Xiao Xian feel vaguely guilty in his heart. This matter started because of the two of us, and we will never stand idly by. Xiao Xian shook his head. Although we are not strong enough to go to Tianli sect to save Mr. Chen, I promise that sooner or later, I will personally save Mr. Chen. Say this. Everyone present was moved. Even the master of the Dragon God realm, the leader of the Tomb Spirit sect, the Tomb Spirit Master couldn't help but look at him with admiration. You know, it was the Tianli sect that captured Mr. Chen. The strongest sect in the entire Zhongzhou. The leader of the Tianli sect had already become a master of the Saint realm thousands of years ago. Fight against such a sect. I'm afraid that even if the old man in the valley leads his disciples, he may not be sure of victory. But now, Xiaoxian is a cultivator of the Golden God realm. Even if he gets the inheritance from the old man in the valley, I'm afraid it will take some time to integrate these inheritances. Why can he be so confident? At that moment, Master Tomb Spirit also lowered his voice and proactively reminded, Xiaoxian, there are some things that should not be said in front of the public, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble in the future. Say this. Some Tomb Spirit sect disciples also nodded frequently. From the words of Master Tomb Spirit, they could feel that Master Tomb Spirit really trusted Xiaoxian. Even when it comes to matters related to the Tianli sect, she can support him so much. This is enough to prove Xiaoxian's status in the heart of the Tomb Spirit Master. In this case, the matter of Mountain Saint Snow Lotus depends on the Tomb Sect Master that day. Xiaoxian also clasped his fists. Don't worry about this. We dare not say who the Tomb Spirit sect is, but we still have a very high status in the Flame Cemetery. We have all the information about the underground auction in the Flame Cemetery. Even in the entire Nanzan Haizu, we have spies. Tomb Spirit Master said confidently. After hearing this, Xiaoxian's face relaxed a lot. With the help of the Tomb Spirit sect, it will indeed help him a lot to find the Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus, at least it is much better than searching alone. Along the way, with the leadership of the Tomb Spirit Master, some sects that were originally a little hostile to Xiaoxian also gave way. But what is to come will still come. The two sect masters of Yama Palace and Star Sword sect also appeared in front of Tomb Spirit sect at the same time. The master of the Yama Hall is a cold old man with grey hair, a face as black as iron, and wearing a white bone robe, with a pair of triangular eyes that always reveal viciousness. If they were to take action, I'm afraid it would be a big war. Feeling the fierce power emanating from Yamalugo and Xin Chen, Master Tomb Spirit also waved his hand to drive away these powers. He also knew that compared to these two Dragon God realm powerhouses, even he had to be more or less vigilant. Tomb Spirit Master is also interested. At the same time, a death aura from the Tomb Spirit slowly spread, protecting the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect. This time, it also attracted the attention of many people. They were all disciples of the sect in the Flame Cemetery. These people can see it. Treasure hunting in tombs is a combination of opportunity and risk. Can't you bear any risk? If this is the case, the strength of your two sects is really worrying. Master Tomb Spirit shook his head and said disdainfully. The real Tomb Spirit sneered instead. Rather than avenging his sect, this was clearly for the inheritance of the old man in the valley. Yes, our Star Sword sect also suffered heavy casualties. I heard that it was all done by people from your Tomb Spirit sect, Xin Chen said in the same conspiratorial tone. He still has to look for excuses hypocritically, which makes Master Tomb Spirit somewhat disdainful. Now, they finally understood the purpose of these two people. After arguing for a long time, their purpose turned out to be Xiaoxian. As soon as these two people arrived, Yan Luo did not expect that the Tomb Spirit Master would react like this. Yan Luo and Xin Chen must have come with bad intentions, and they are probably people who will target the Tomb Spirit sect in the future. You must know that these two people are not good friends. They are both powerful sect leaders in the Flame Cemetery. After all, like the Tomb Spirit Master, they are also cultivators at the Dragon God level, so when they fight against each other, they don't necessarily feel guilty, and they even think that they have a slight advantage two against one. Yes, Xiaoxian is the culprit of this trial. You don't need to say more about the strength of our two sections. If you don't hand over Xiaoxian today, we will never leave. Our Yama Palace has killed and injured more than a dozen disciples. Today's account cannot be settled just like that. Grave Spirit, don't you know what we are here for? Yamaluo took the lead in attacking. Your Tomb Spirit sect disciples are attacking our people in Yama Hall in the tomb, don't you know? The leader of the Star Sword sect is a middle-aged man in black with no eyebrows and a long sword on his back. Yan Luo and Xin Chen looked at each other with infinite cruelty in their eyes, obviously hating Xiaoxian. These two people, one on the left and one on the right, blocked all the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect. Speaking of which, as the leader of Tomb Spirit sect, he has enough strength. Yan Luo and Xin Chen also had pale faces. Say it. Hear these words. Snort. Two sect masters, what's the matter? Even if he faced the siege of Yama and Xin Chen, he might not be at a disadvantage. At that moment, he was also using the tomb spirit energy in his body. Facing the two of them, he sneered, "You two are a little too confident, aren't you? Do you think that with just the two of you, you can ask for someone in front of me? That being the case. So what if you know? What if you don't know?" Master Tomb Spirit said nonchalantly. His face also darkened, and he said coldly, "If you don't give me an explanation today, you won't be able to leave here today." Yan Luo and Xin Chen couldn't help but look at each other, with somewhat disdain on their faces. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1309. Do you think that with more people, we will definitely win? When the Tomb Spirit Master saw that Yan Luo and Xin Chen had no intention of leaving, the corner of his mouth also sneered, "Isn't it a bit too simple to think like this? Facing the hostility of two strong men in the Dragon God realm. If it were an ordinary person, I'm afraid he would have been a little scared, but the Tomb Spirit Master still looked indifferent. Looking at it, it was as if nothing had happened. This fact made many people in the Flame Cemetery a little curious. Speaking of which, whether it was the Tomb Spirit Master or Yama and Xin Chen, they were all famous figures in the Flame Cemetery. They can show up here. Moreover, they are still faced with a hostile attitude. This kind of thing is not something you can see all the time. What's more, this also involves the inheritance of a saint. Therefore, some other sects also gathered around with curiosity, and even some casual cultivators were ready to make a move. After all, for most sect disciples and casual cultivators, they didn't get much benefit from being in the tomb, but they didn't expect that even if they walked out of the tomb, they would still have the opportunity to see such a battle. This naturally attracted his attention. If the Tomb Spirit sect wins, they will have nothing to lose, but if Yama and Xin Chen win, Xiaoxian will also be caught, and the inheritance of the old man in the valley may really be lost. For these sect elders and sect masters, they don't care about Xiaoxian's life or death. However, what they are more concerned about is whether they can get a share of the pie if the inheritance of the old man in the valley is really spread. But at this moment, the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect also had unkind expressions on their faces and stared at the other cultivators in the Flame Cemetery. They all received help from Xiaoxian in the tomb. To them, Xiaoxian was no different from their savior. Seeing that Xiaoxian was in danger now, they naturally couldn't stand idly by. However, wait for them to take action. Tomb Spirit Master was the first to take action. At that time, people from the Tianli sect took away his friend Mr. Chen in front of him. Now he was already holding back a lot of anger. Although he did not dare to vent his anger on Tianli sect, when facing Yan Luo and Xin Chen, who were both members of the Flame Cemetery sect, he was not so polite and took action directly with anger on his face. Along with a green tomb spirit energy appeared. Between the heaven and the earth on the periphery of the cemetery, lines of tomb spirit chi slowly appeared out of thin air, changing from 1 to 2, and 2 to 4. Finally, the tomb spirit chi filled the entire world. This change happened extremely quickly. Even Yan Luo and Xin Chen, two strong men in the Dragon God realm, did not react for a moment. Wait until they react. However, they discovered that two green tomb spirit chi had quietly arrived beside them, trapping them firmly. As for other people who showed hostility to Xiaoxian, they were treated in the same way. This made their expressions change instantly. They all know that as the leader of the Tomb Spirit sect, Master Tomb Spirit is also a ruthless person. For so many years, the Tomb Spirit Master is also famous in the Flame Cemetery. Not to mention ordinary cultivators, even the sect leaders and elders of major sects were extremely wary of him. Moreover, Tomb Spirit Master never gives advance warning when fighting against others. The first move is a killer move. At this moment, the moment the Tomb Spirit's true energy appeared, many casual cultivators of the Golden God realm screamed and were killed silently. They never expected that they did not die in the tomb, but actually died in the hands of the Tomb Spirit Master. Also feeling a hint of fear were Yamaluo and Xin Chen. This time they are ostensibly a partnership. However, it cannot be said that Yamaluodian and Xinjiang sect have a good relationship. When they cooperate with each other, they actually have some selfish motives. However, now that I see Master Tomb Spirit looking so desperate, I feel a little guilty. Kill your opponent at the slightest disagreement. Nowadays, the young disciples of Yamaluodian and Star Sword sect have lost a lot. This is also what makes Yama and Xin Chen fearful. This time, the Tomb Spirit Master was extremely angry, and no one knew whether he would do anything outrageous in his rage. You are cruel, I will take the first step. They all just hope to get Xiaoxian's saint inheritance. It seems that these two people are just like that. This is what worries them a little bit. After all, the inheritance of the saint realm is important, but your own life is even more important. If their two sect leaders are also injured, I'm afraid the situation they have to face will be even more dangerous, and the sect's destruction is not impossible. Some other casual cultivators were unlucky. Master Tomb Spirit was not polite to these people. Under a few bursts of Tomb Spirit chi that shot up into the sky, these powerful men of the Golden God realm were instantly killed. But they could see that these two Dragon God realm masters just didn't use their methods. If they really planned to challenge, I'm afraid the situation would not be like this. Others can't see it. This shows that there is something wrong with the state of the real Tomb Spirit today. It seems that he is not in a good mood. As the saying goes, if you are not afraid of thieves, you are afraid of being missed. Now, relying on the power of the Tomb Spirit Master, you can drive away these people. This scene also shocked everyone. After all, there is no doubt about the strength of the Tomb Spirit Master. I see that this time, the elite disciples of their two sects have died in the tombs. I'm afraid that these two sects will not be able to rise for a long time. The next second, after Yan Luo and Xin Chen looked at each other, their figures suddenly flashed and disappeared like ghosts. At this time, they wanted to escape, but it was difficult for the Tomb Spirit Master to stop them. He just snorted and let them go. Anyone can see it? Immediately afterwards, the group of casual cultivators who had been watching just now did not dare to neglect and fled in all directions. If he really wants to fight to the death, the two of them will have no good harvest, not to mention that now, the Tomb Spirit Master has killed so many Golden God realm cultivators at once. If he really offended Xiaoxian for such a task, no one knew whether he would suddenly go crazy and use what trump card he would use to expose the two of them to an irresistible attack. In response, Xiaoxian and Tomb Spirit Master looked solemn. This really surprised them. This is something they are also afraid of. They are also experts at the Dragon God realm level. Some Tomb Spirit sect disciples also said something when they saw Yan Luo and Xin Chen running away. However, the two of them left. As a sect leader, you can watch your sect's disciples being killed, but you don't even dare to fart. It's really embarrassing. Although most of these people were casual cultivators, the fact that Master Ye Tomb Spirit killed them without ceremony could also show his inner determination. but who knows whether they will come to trouble them again in the future. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1310. It seems that these guys' dog noses are more sensitive than I thought. The grave spirit master looked serious. After he said this, all the disciples of the tomb spirit sect became a lot more cautious. They have followed the tomb spirit master for many years, and naturally know what kind of person the tomb spirit master is. Now even he is wary, which is enough to prove that the matter seems to be more serious than they imagined. Sect master, is it really that serious? Tomb Ching couldn't help but ask. Anyway, after what happened today, no one will have excessive thoughts about young Master Xiaoxian in a short time, right? In fact, this is also the thought of some of the sect disciples. After all, the Tomb Spirit Master has shown great power and has even driven away the leaders of the two sections. What can others do to them? Even though Xiaoxian has the inheritance of a saint. If these casual cultivators in the Flame Cemetery want to get it, they may have to show their strength. These disciples really don't believe that these ordinary casual cultivators have the ability to target the entire Tomb Spirit sect. It's not true. It was just Yan Luo and Xin Chen who didn't take action just now. You don't think that they didn't defeat my discarded cards, right? The Tomb Spirit Master shook his head and said seriously, they are also the veteran strongmen in the Flame Cemetery. Who would believe that they have no trump card? Say it. Everyone present was also silent for a long time. They could all roughly feel that the words spoken by the Tomb Spirit Master were not light in weight. At least, as the leader of Tomb Spirit sect, he is naturally well informed. The fact that he can speak like this at this time is enough to prove that this matter must be extremely serious. But, Master, haven't they already left? They shouldn't come to trouble us again for the time being, right? Moreover, as long as we stay in the sect, they won't be that capable of provocation, right? Several elders of Tomb Spirit sect were also a little worried. In fact, for them, it is very tempting to obtain the inheritance of the saint. It was more important at the time. Now Xiaoxian is a guest of the Tomb Spirit section. No matter how courageous they are, they don't dare to think anything wrong at this time. As for the other side, if other sects in the Flame Cemetery have any thoughts about them, they will naturally be very dissatisfied. Judging from the current situation, these people don't seem to give up. In the future, they will definitely find ways to seize the saint's inheritance again. If these sects unite, our Tomb Spirit sect will also have some pressure. Several elders looked at each other with solemn expressions on their faces. Hear this. Master Tomb Spirit frowned slightly and said directly, Master Xiaoxian is the benefactor of the Tomb Spirit section. No matter what happens in the future, Master Xiaoxian must not be put in danger. This is my responsibility as well as yours, do you understand? Yes. Yes. Several elders and guardians also nodded quickly. At this moment, they also quickly abandoned their previous ideas and began to seriously think about countermeasures. Speaking of which, they can be regarded as the top leaders of the Tomb Spirit sect, and their strength is not weak. However, they didn't understand why Tomb Soul Responsibility valued Xiaoxian so much. Even with Mr. Chen's relationship. Tomb Ching quickly explained. After all, he and Bai Ling were not cultivators of the Flame Cemetery. As a disciple of the White Flame Valley, she has also heard of the mixed situation in the Flame Cemetery. It is said that even the strong ones in the Dragon God realm dare not say that there is absolute safety in such a place. Regarding this, Bai Ling also looked at Xiaoxian with worry. He seems to want to give up such protection? Isn't this just throwing yourself into a trap? No, no, no. He was also the head of a clan back then. As a clan leader, he also had his own understanding of the clan and the clan. This is something that almost all sect leaders know. He can help the Tomb Spirit sect disciples in the tomb. Xiao Xian also raised his hands and said seriously. You can also keep your identity mysterious. He understood that although the Tomb Spirit Master was the master of the Tomb Spirit sect, there are thousands of disciples in the entire Tomb Spirit sect. This way it will not implicate the Tomb Spirit sect. You have protected the disciples of our Tomb Spirit sect, and you are the ones our Tomb Spirit sect should protect. You're welcome. The Tianshan Holy Snow Lotus that Xiao Xian needs will appear at the Tianjia auction, so he will definitely participate in the auction. Under such circumstances, it would be safer if they could have the protection of the Tomb Spirit sect. If there is not enough reason to convince all the sect disciples, and if these consumptions cannot bring benefits to the Tomb Spirit sect, even if they don't stay in the Tomb Spirit sect, they may not be homeless. As for the heavenly auction that Tomb Spirit Master mentioned, he and Bai Ling can participate anonymously. The decision he made may actually weaken his prestige as the suzerain. If his prestige was reduced to the smallest extent in the end, his position as the suzerain would not be strong. As for what happened in the tomb, it seems that the Tomb Spirit Master will not let the entire Tomb Spirit sect protect a little Xiao Xian, right? It also weakens the authority of the Tomb Spirit Master. But now let's see what Xiao Xian means. You know, there are countless people outside the Flame Cemetery who want Xiao Xian's life. It can be said that there are dangers everywhere. Why did he choose this way? Thank you, Master Tomb. Xiao Xian, an outer disciple, was able to follow the disciples of the Tomb Spirit sect into the tomb. This was considered a help to him from the Tomb Spirit sect. Therefore, now Xiao Xian does not want to cause too much trouble to the Tomb Spirit sect just because of him. It can be said that he is a man of his word among the Tomb Spirit sect, but this does not mean that he can act recklessly without any scruples. This seems to be a matter of course. Even if the Tomb Spirit sect wants to protect him, there seems to be no need to use the entire sect's power, right? Master Xiao Xian, you misunderstood. If my existence will bring trouble to the Tomb Spirit sect, I can leave. According to what the Tomb Spirit Master said before. As the leader of the sect, every decision the Tomb Spirit Master makes will affect many people and consume a lot of resources.